Hello everyone, welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston Subdivision, the N-scale inspired HO layout being constructed right here in my basement. I want to thank everyone for joining me for yet another update, this one for season 2022 episode 11. And it is as of March 20th, 2022. I was in the wrong century there for a second, guys. But we are right here on the layout. And we have an update for you today. A number of things have occurred in the last week. First of all, I did some more work on the peninsula, on the fascia, and on the backdrop, as well as extending the staging yard and providing space for some more cars and locomotives, and of course the throat that will lead into the helix. I want to remind everyone to subscribe and like this video, as well as comment. I definitely like it when people comment and try to respond as best I can to everyone. And also want to remind everyone that there is an opportunity to be a member of the channel. We're having our first live chat this evening at 7 o'clock Central Time. So if you're a member, make sure you join in. If you're not a member, become a member, and you can join in the live chat this evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Also, 7 o'clock Central Time. Also want to remind everyone that I do have a website to sell the last bits of my N-scale layout, the UP Railroad Geneva Subdivision. So if you want to check that out, check out the link for that, which is in the description. Now for the update and some of the construction that I did this last week. First of all, I did attach some fascia to the return loop. And I had some hardboard cut up for me at Home Depot. They're nice enough to have a saw there, so I don't have to rip it myself. So I get 4x8 sheets, and I cut it into 2x8 sheets and 16-inch by 8 sheets. And I use the 16-inch ones here and attach them to the fascia here as a starting point, and then of course I need to cut it from here. And if you can see, not right now, but as you saw, there's a line that I was drawing on the fascia. There you go, you can see the line. Trying to decide where to cut the fascia, and I actually cut it twice. The first one was a little bit high, and then the second time I cut it, I think, appropriately for this line. So some of the fascia goes below the modern mainline track level, and some of it goes above. When it goes above the track line, it's going to be a place where either there's a mountain or there's going to be a cut. So first of all, we have right here, it goes above the track grade because there's going to be a mountain here where both mains go through tunnels. This is right after Kerrville, what you're looking at right now. And then Kerrville, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this here. I might cut this lower here at Kerrville because it is prototypical where that's kind of how the grade goes. But I'm kind of concerned about being able to view the trains as they come through there. So I might cut this a little bit lower. To be prototypical, though, it's about at the right spot that it should be. But I may cut it a little bit lower just for visibility's sake. Now here there's going to be a little bit of a low spot in the mountains. And then here's going to be another mountain where the original main line goes through the tunnel. But then the modern main line with the more modern excavation equipment, they were able to dig a cut through the mountain. So there's going to be a cut right there so it's going to go around the mountain. The mountain's going to go right there for the tunnel. Then there's going to be a cut on both sides of the main line here. So that should look pretty cool. That magic hand is hopefully trying to describe what it's going to look like. Now you see some screws there in the joints. That's just there temporarily while the glue is setting. So I do eventually remove those. This is going to be in again another kind of a low area, but there's a big space here, so I may put a bit of a hill there also. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing with that space, but there will not be any tunnels from here on to the summit at Wasatch. Now there was a tunnel here at one point, and when they originally laid out the modern main line, but then since 1916, when they laid out the original the modern main line, they abandoned the tunnel, which is right here, and they replaced it with a cut. So I'm going to actually have the tunnel right here. You notice I extended the joist out a little bit so I have room to put that hill there with a tunnel. So the abandoned tunnel is going to be there, and then next to it will be the cut. So that should look pretty cool, I'm hoping, and it'll be part of the prototype. So things are looking pretty good here. Now this next clip is going to be a live narration. This is an example of what members can see during the week. All right, so here's how it looks with the skirting and everything on. I extended the fascia all the way to this point here, and the backdrop past the benchwork. I mounted some backdrop material painted from previous layouts, so that's up also. And then you can just kind of see how it all turned out. I've never been a big fan of turnback loops, but I have to pat myself on the back here. This does not look bad at all. This actually looks very, very good. I think it's going to be some really striking scenery, and definitely going to be one of the focal points of the layout. The actual turnback, the curve is so wide it doesn't look bad at all. And then with the view divider there, the backdrop coming out as far as it does, you cannot see the entire turnback unless you stand right here. And at this point, the upper main, or the original main line right here, is going to be in a tunnel. And then this is going to be a cut. So I think most time people are going to view it like this, or they're going to view it like this. And both ways it looks pretty good. It looks pretty convincing, I think, as far as disguising the turnback loop as just more of more of the mountainous scenery. You see, I have the skirting done. The basement is really starting to look finished when I have all the skirting up and all. It looks like a finished space, and I really like the painted ceilings. Doesn't look as finished. I guess it looks a little bit more industrial looking, which to me is perfect for a model train layout. I'm modeling basically industry, the transportation industry. So to me, it makes perfect sense to have it in more of a industrial looking space. I definitely appreciate something like this much more than the museum type of space where they not only have a fascia here, but they also have a top, forget valance, I guess it's called. And so you have like a museum diorama that you're looking at. And to me, this gives it more of an open space, something that you would experience if you're actually outside, watching trains go by. So it gives it more of the great openness of the outdoors, in my view. That's my view. And since it's my layout, that's the one that's going to prevail. Next, I think I'm going to try and start putting some color on here finally. I've been kind of putting this off, but I think it's time. I have all the materials. I have paint. I have ground foam. I have static grass. So I'm going to be looking at some pictures here, and then start putting color. I think I'm going to start that tomorrow sometime. And then here's one last look at this. Kind of see. Looks pretty good. I think I might try to cover this up a little bit too. I do want to have my bridge module from my old layout sitting here on display, but I have to kind of spruce it up a little bit. I think I might have some kind of a covering for this here when I have op sessions, so you don't see it. And then I still have this last bit. Once I get the scenery painted and just some basic scenery down, then I'm going to start on this here. And then it will be a completely finished basement. One other thing I did is extended the staging yard and included the throat for the other end of the staging yard. So this has been in place from the very beginning. That's one of the first things I did. You can kind of see where it is in comparison to where I've been working on Wasatch. So you can kind of see the dividing line between what existed and then what I added. And I did add 3 more feet of track. That's the local net cable. That will be moved somewhere else. This will be the throat of the other end of the staging yard. So this will be pretty much the length. Now some of these tracks will be longer. The tracks are 30 feet plus. Now there are a couple of them that are a little bit below 30, but most of them are 30 feet or more, which means about 40 60-foot cars. This is where the helix is going to go. So I'll be working on that fairly soon. And having the extended staging yard has meant that I've been able to run even longer trains. So we, of course, have to watch some trains here as part of the update. And this is going to be kind of a special look at trains, because these trains are going to be 40-car trains, or I should say 30-foot trains. I'm not sure what that translates in scale feet. But it actually is a lot of fun to run these long trains, especially with helpers. That's been something that's been a lot of fun to work on. Here we see this manifest train going through the signals as it knocks the flashing yellow down to red. I love signals. But it's been really a lot of fun running these long trains. And so I'm going to kind of show you what the whole length of the train looks like. So I won't be focusing too much on just the engines, but on the actual train. So here you have this long train coming out of staging. And it is a lot of cars. And at the end, there's should be a helper. This is a manifest train, I've always been used to running a lot of unit trains, and going to have to kind of shift away from that a little bit, because with the new way that they operate, they seem like they have more long manifest trains. But they still do run the unit trains, so I'll still have a mix. All right, here we have a helper coming through. This is a CN helper. This is one of my favorite helpers, because CN has this red light that they use when a train is being used as a helper. So it doesn't show up real well on the video, but you can kind of see on the end of the train there, or the locomotive, there is a end of train red light. There you can see it pretty well. And then here you can see the whole, just how long this train is. It's always fun to kind of look for where the couplers transition from being pulled, the cars being pulled, to where they're being pushed. And it does take a little bit of adjusting on the speed scales, speed matching, to get the speeds just right, so that you do have a spot in the middle of the train where the cars are being pushed rather than pulled. So here you can see just how long this train is. All right, here we're coming up to the Taggart tunnels, which will be scenic at some point in time. This is a Scale Trains Tier 4 Gevel and an Athearn SD70M. I've been kind of mixing up the motive power, so here we have a Scale Trains and Athearn running together. And with all the speed matching I have completed for all the locomotives, and I speed matched them so that whatever percent you have on the throttle corresponds to the scale miles per hour. So all the locomotives are pretty well speed matched as we go around the pole. One thing I still had to do was kind of adjust the momentum. With a long main line, I'm able to run two trains in opposite directions too, which is a lot of fun. Here we have a train coming in the opposite direction, another manifest pulled by Scale Trains in Intermountain. So anyway, I had to adjust the momentum settings because Scale Trains uses ESU lock sound decoders, whereas Athearn uses the soundtracks. So right now I have the ESU Scale Train set at 30 for acceleration and deceleration, and the Athearn set at 55 for acceleration and deceleration, which works out pretty good. All right, here we have another helper. Doesn't have its light on though. Right here we just went past through Taggart tunnels, a Devil Slide, and past the Wholesome Cement. Now we're going through Echo. I should have blown the horn there for the road crossing that's going to be there. Surprised how many times I forget to do that, which is kind of unusual because I really like blowing the horn. And anyway, we're going through Echo Canyon now, so there will be some hopefully nice looking rock outcroppings there as you see the total length of the train. And now we're coming up on the control point. And it looks like we have all red signals, so we're going to have to come to a stop here. I've been playing around with the dynamic digital exhaust that Soundtrax has on their locomotives. I kind of have the load sensitivity set too high, so you kind of hear the SD70M there spooling up and down. So I'll have to set that back a little bit. And so with the stop at the control point there, the end of the train is back here at Wholesome Cement. So it's a long train, but it still fits within the control points. All right, it had to come to a stop because there is another train coming down the mountain on the modern main line. This is unusual. Usually it does not come down on the modern main line. Usually it uses the original main line for descent due to the 1.7% incline of the original main. Here it's going under the original main at Curvo. And then slowly descending. Gonna need to do some touch up on that backdrop there. May have to repaint the whole thing, I don't know. Should be able to do some touch up, we'll see. I really have to get myself motivated this week to get this scenery painted and some texture put on. Not to mention coloring the rock molds. Definitely will be a dramatic change once I do that. Hopefully this week. And this is a stack train, intermodal. I think there are some trailers too. Pulled by 3 SD70Ms. There is not a helper with this train. All right, it's on the same main line as the opposing train, and so it's doing a crossover here to go around our train. This is what a lot of the operation is going to be on this layout. There will, of course, still be switching at Wholesome Cement and West Vaco Trona Mine and the UTLX tank car repair shop, as well as the Evanston Yard. But the majority of it's going to be just running trains and maneuvering around stop trains or rail maintenance. This is another very long train, as you can see. I really hope you've enjoyed this update. Make sure you stay tuned for more updates as we go along. I'm planning on doing a special video sometime this week on just running trains. Not an update on any progress, just simply a video of just running trains like this. I'm going to get my tripod out and try and do some really good photography, videography, I guess I should say, of trains going in both directions with helpers and everything. So watch for that this midweek, and then, of course, another update next weekend. Have a great week everybody. Thanks again for watching. Just video will go for quite a bit yet, so just enjoy watching the trains.